Hey there, thanks for tuning into DuckBricks. I'm Chris, and today we're going to be doing a full tutorial on how to customize your LEGO Ninjago Dragons Rising Ninja hoods to make them more show accurate, to allow for head articulation, to move them around, and generally just to make them better than the way they come in the actual sets. Now, do be warned, this does require some modification to official LEGO pieces. Personally, I don't really modify LEGO that much, but I felt like it was really warranted for these Dragons Rising hoods, and let me go ahead and explain why, so let's get into it. Alright, so throughout this tutorial, you're going to learn how to make your Ninjago Dragons Rising Ninja minifigures look a little bit more like this, and less like this. Let me explain. So, for the Dragons Rising sets, we received brand new suits for the Ninja. Specifically, you can see the difference between Kai here, with the unfortunate detail that the masks, the front part, were molded directly into the armor, which meant that if you wanted to display your Ninja with their hoods off, you couldn't really do that, because the mask was part of the armor itself. If you wanted to turn their head, the armor wouldn't turn with it, so you couldn't really pose them whatsoever, and it wasn't really great to add hair pieces on it because then they don't quite look how they do in the show, which is a little bit more like this, with their mask down and their hair out. Now, this is one of the biggest complaints most people have about the new Dragons Rising suits. They have really cool armor, they look really interesting, but the unfortunate thing is that you just can't really pose them all that well. Previous Ninja minifigures had the mask part attached to the top hood, which meant that you could either just remove the hood entirely to allow you to display the minifigures with their armor and with their hair on, with their faces exposed, or at the very least allow you to slightly turn the head just ever so slightly to be able to have a little bit of posability and motion in play. The main issue with these, though, is that, as you can see, you just can't do that, where the mask is just integrated in as part of the hood itself. The armor cannot be detached from the mask, so you can either choose to display your minifigures without the armor entirely, and that way you can display your figures, but then they are missing the armor that they actually have in the show, which is kind of like what you have here, or if you display the armor on, there's no way to actually lower the front mask, which in my opinion is one of the biggest flaws about the Dragons Rising suits. They look really interesting and I like how they have the armor integrated into the suits themselves, but I just really wish you were able to lower that mask. And so, what I did for this video is I basically broke one of the cardinal rules of LEGO, and I'm no longer a LEGO purist because I just had to modify my Ninja minifigures to make them a little bit closer to the show. This is the final result. As you can see, you can take your minifigures and rotate the heads all the way around in different directions. You can really get all sorts of unique and varied poses out of them, and this way you can actually have them be posed the same exact way that they are in the show, which in my opinion is a big upgrade, and I really do wish that LEGO just introduced the minifigures like this, had the mask part not attached to the armor, and just had a hood piece that you put over the heads to really allow you to not just turn their heads while their masks are on, but also be able to remove the masks and showcase their faces with the hair. Now, I've done this for all of the Ninja. At the time of this recording, not all of the episodes are out, and we haven't even seen Jay or Cole yet, but I would guess that as soon as they get their outfits, they're gonna have a look and feel like this. And the same goes for Aaron in his Dragons Rising outfit, which hasn't quite appeared yet, but we've seen from some promotional images that he basically has the same look and feel as the rest of the Ninja. Now, this does admittedly work better for some characters versus others. Obviously, characters like Zane here have pretty much free rotation of their heads. You can pretty much just move them all around whichever way that you want, because his hair doesn't really conflict with the armor itself. The only big problem that I encountered when actually being able to move around these minifigures and pose them was with Cole. Due to the way that Cole's hair works, you can't really turn his head without the hair falling off. As you can see, as soon as you turn it a little bit, the hair just pushes upwards, so if you want to have him looking this way, you can't really do that because the hair doesn't sit down on the armor, so you can also really just kind of have him looking straight forwards, but I personally still prefer this look and feel as compared to the original look, which you couldn't actually see his face whatsoever. This is just a lot closer to the show itself. A similar thing goes for Nia here, where Nia's mostly okay, but sometimes the hair does conflict a little bit with the armor, especially when you rotate it this way. You can still get a full range of motion out of her though, so if you wanted to have her look this way, for instance, that would work pretty much okay. You can just kind of twist the hair up to center us up here, and this is something that I feel like improves the Dragons Rising minifigures to a pretty significant degree. This looks just like how the characters look like in the show, and I'm a big fan of how this actually worked in terms of the modification. So enough about that. How exactly does the modification work to allow you to see the characters' faces? Well, let me show you. Here is a standard Dragon's Rising Kai minifigure, which I'm going to now modify on video just for the sake of demonstration. I will probably also be giving away this figure on Whatnot later on, so stay tuned for an auction and giveaway on that coming very soon, because I don't really have any need for 2 Kais with the masks cut off. I just wanted to do this for the video. So this is the final product that we essentially want to get, which is the mask removed, and then we just want to put on the hairpiece to have the armor on with the hair as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the sword, remove the hood, remove the head here, and just take the armor piece. So really, for this modification, you just need to take the armor piece itself. What I've done is I've taken a pair of clippers here. These clippers are really useful. I kind of use them for a lot of 3D printing. So these I use to remove supports from 3D prints and whatnot for my Bionicle 3D printing online store. They're really sharp cutters and they do the job really well. And this is really the only thing that can reliably cut through Lego from my experience. So here's how you do it. Let me go ahead and zoom in here so you can really just see the method of how to actually modify this. What you have to do is essentially cut alongside this line right here. You can see that there already is some sort of a line built into the mask itself, which is right here, and what you need to do is use the cutters to basically just cut it alongside that point. So a good starting reference is to start on this side, because as you can see, this side right here is essentially where one of the lines stops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully just make small incisions here, just small cuts. As you can see, this is kind of what it looks like, and slowly work my way around the mask in general. So kind of going around like this. And just like that, it is super, super simple. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do to clean this up. Obviously, you kind of have this white aspect for the cut plastic, which only matters if you look right down on it, and it kind of looks a little bit jagged from here. I did the best I could with this on camera, but what you can do from there is you can kind of use this to shave it off and smooth it. So what I've done is I've taken the cutter and I'm kind of just using it to file off bits of the plastic to really just make it feel just a little bit more smooth, like it essentially was meant to be this sort of cut material. So I'm just gonna smooth this out right here, like so, and there you have it. Now what we can do is go ahead and attach this piece on, put Kai's head on, and basically from all the angles that you really need, this is a perfectly completed Kai minifigure from Dragon's Rising that looks just like the show itself. Sure, from the top, maybe it does look a little bit rough, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with this look and feel for 99% of pictures you want to take, or play scenarios, or different poses you want to do. This works totally okay, and this is a super easy way to modify your Dragon's Rising minifigures to actually make them closer to the show. Now, I know a lot of LEGO purists out there are not going to like this technique, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack in the comments about cutting and modifying LEGO pieces, but honestly, I felt like it was really necessary for these characters. One thing I love to do when I travel is bring the current year's iteration of Ninjago minifigures with me and take photos of them along my travels and have them in different poses, and it was kind of impossible to do that with the hoods on because I only could have them looking straight forwards, which don't really make for that many dynamic photos. So thankfully, I was just able to chop this off. You can really just throw out this additional mask element. This is pretty much just useless at this point. It's just, you can't really do anything with this additional piece of plastic here, but overall, I'm actually pretty happy with how this looks. This really does look exactly like it does in the show, and hopefully you found this tutorial helpful in order to make your Dragon's Rising minifigures the same as they look like on the show itself. Now for just a quick minifigure showcase here we have Lloyd with his hood cut off, so you can have him be looking in all sorts of different directions. The hair does tend to lift up if you have it being this extreme, like looking over in this direction, but for the most part you can actually have him looking in pretty much any direction that you want. Next up we have Kai, so this is Kai's Dragon's Rising minifigure, which we just showcased on video right now. We have Nia here, so you have Nia and her new facial expression right here with the chopped hood, which just really looks like how it does in the show itself. Really happy, especially with how this one turned out, because I feel like the hair is just providing a really nice contrast when you look at the actual character itself. You get a lot of type of design and character expression coming through with the hood down. Next up, we have Zane here, so we have Zane being able to look in pretty much any direction. Obviously the downside is that with his hair on, you can see the back facial expression, but you can easily use any other figure of Zane without the back expression, and if you really wanted to go the extra step of customization, you can use any sort of eraser and literally just erase the print on the back if you just wanted to have the front-facing face right here. And we do of course have an angry Zane expression that was the one used for most of his minifigures, with an angry scowl and then his charging port on the back, which is how he looks like in the show. From there, we have Aaron. Now, this version of Aaron has not appeared in Dragon's Rising yet, as of the time of recording this video, but we have seen, based on promo images, this is exactly what he looks like, with the armor and the hair exposed, so you can see, you can have him basically look in all sorts of different directions here, which is very nice. You have his friend Sora here. Now for Sora, what I did is that I chopped off the front of the mask, but I did retain the specialized head element, at least until they make a dedicated hairpiece for Sora. Yes, they did recolor the Monkey Kid May hairpiece, but that really is supposed to be for young Sora, especially in the TV show, and I feel like this is a really good representation of her character in terms of how she appeared in the show itself. Lastly, we have Jay and Cole here, who again haven't quite appeared in the show itself, but I just figured it made sense to modify them in advance because I'm sure that once they appear, they're going to look like this after some modification and after some story developments. So you can see Jay can just move his head in all sorts of different directions. You have the nice looking armor piece, which really makes the figure feel complete, but with the hairpiece as well. And then you have Cole, which again is probably the one where I really didn't need to do it on because you still cannot move his head. Like, as soon as you twist the hairpiece, the bottom part of the hairpiece just conflicts and rises upwards on this upper hood marking here. So that is just something to kind of keep track of that I wanted to make a note of, but you can still showcase his face being fully open here, which is a really nice touch. Overall, hopefully you enjoyed that look at how to modify your Dragon's Rising minifigures. In case you're curious, this is what it looks like with the hood on with no mask, which I also think is a pretty interesting look. Not one that we'll probably ever see on the show though. But overall, really a big fan of how these minifigures turned out. I usually rarely ever modify my LEGO minifigures, but this one, it really felt like it was warranted because I just wanted to get these as close as possible to the official Dragon's Rising show appearance of the ninja as I could. And the cool thing is, you can also use this technique for other characters, like the Golden Dragon Armor version of Sensei Wu who appeared in Crystallized, which I also modified using a very similar technique, the same exact cutters, to kind of have his beard and armor combo, which we can showcase right now. Otherwise, that about sums up this video. Hopefully you found this helpful, and I am so excited to watch Dragon's Rising Season 1 Part 2, hopefully airing on Netflix very soon. Alright, and with that we have summed up our quick tutorial on how to modify the LEGO Ninjago Dragon's Rising hoods to make them more show accurate, easier to take pictures of, and allow you to create a lot more dynamic poses with your minifigures. I know it is fairly controversial to actually modify LEGO pieces. I personally rarely ever do it, but I just felt like it was warranted because the pieces could have been so good if they just didn't have that front mask attached to the armor. That's just how I feel though. Of course, let me know down in the comments below if you have tried this technique, any tips and tricks yourself for making the final thing look really good. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming away very soon, and bye for now.